All right, well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for our staff workshop on digital and remote services for Chatham staff. I hope you are doing well. My name is Kate Wenger, and I'm the head of access services at the Chatham Library. I am responsible for all of the circulation of materials, the student workers you see at that circulation desk, interlibrary loan, and then like all of the librarians, I also do reference and teaching. And my co-presenter today is Molly Tai.
Hi everyone, I'm Molly Tai. I'm the archivist and public services librarian, and I manage the archives and the special collections, as well as a variety of reference and instruction, as Kate mentioned.
So a little bit of housekeeping. This session is being recorded. And if you have any questions, please type them into the chat. We will get to them at the end. This should be about a 30-minute presentation with time at the end for any questions that you have. And now I'm going to turn it over to Molly to tell you about what we're going to talk about.
Yes. So in this little webinar, we're going to talk about the current plans for reopening the library. We're going to talk about how you can find and use resources both digitally and with an open library. And we're also going to talk about using the archives for a variety of different tasks. Okay, so big question, reopening. So we are planning to reopen on Monday, July 6th. We will be reopening with reduced hours, so we won't be open until, the building won't be open until midnight, as it is under normal circumstances. At this point, our hours for the building are going to be Monday through Thursday. The Monday through Thursday hours are 7:45 to 7 p.m. That's when the building is open, and then chat and remote reference services will be available until 10. There will be some different hours on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but again, a mix of in-person access to the building, where the building is open, and continuing with the digital reference that we've been very successful in doing. When the building does open, it will be a little different, as you can all expect. First and foremost, everyone will be required to wear a mask in the building. The furniture will be rearranged to facilitate and accommodate social distancing as well. So when the lobby space of the library is going to be one place where you'll see tables where you hadn't seen previously. So there are a number of different furniture arrangements that are being put in place to allow for use of the building while maintaining social distancing. There are also new hand sanitizer stations that have been installed in the building, so those will be available. A lot of the logistics of opening the building we're still working out, such as how people will be coming in and out, which doors everyone will be using. So stay tuned. We're working on those right now, but the building will be open on Monday, this July 6th. And yeah, Kate, I'm going to pass it over to you for some of the other pieces of that.
All right. So with regard to reference services and answering patron questions, we anticipate being able to do quick answers in person, but probably nothing more than that. There's plexiglass at the circulation desk and the other desk. We'll probably be using only the circulation desk, and we'll be wearing masks, and so it's really hard to hear someone with plexiglass and a mask, so we're anticipating just short questions. Also, normally we would show someone what we're doing on a computer most of the time, and that's not really going to be possible. So for longer questions, we are going to encourage people to use chat, email us, or as we've been doing very successfully during the closure, we've been doing a lot of Zoom meetings and Zoom chats with students and others, and that works really well with the screen sharing features and allowing them to be able to see what we're doing, or in some cases actually having the student do all the navigation while we walk them through things. Circulating materials is a lot more up in the air. We're still sorting it out as of an hour ago, and it's going to be ongoing. We plan to quarantine returned items for 3 days, and then reshelve them and allow people to check them out. We are currently debating whether we're going to close the stacks or keep them open, with the idea that pulling things for you reduces the number of people touching things and also people wandering stacks, but there's a lot of logistical challenges, so that's not determined at this time. And then short-term loans in general are just a problem overall, and there are no libraries that have a good solution for this. So like course reserves that are 2-hour checkouts or 4-hour checkouts with a 3-day quarantine, that doesn't really work. Some libraries are scanning parts of materials. Some libraries are looking into scanning more of a material and then trying to loan it for short periods of time. We don't have good answers yet. So that's just kind of going to be see what we can come up with situation. And ultimately, our plan is that our time in the building in July is really practice for fall and what that's going to look like. So a fair bit may change. All right, so, and then now I want to share my browser. Are you seeing my browser now? Library homepage?
That's good.
Okay, thank you, Molly. So the first thing I want to point out is that we have this library resources during the COVID-19 closure link, and this is where you'll be able to look for more information on hours and services currently being provided. So as things change, this is where you'll want to look. But as far as what you have access to right now while you're home, it is most of our stuff minus the physical things. And you can find most of that within our all resources search. So for example, if you want to look up college admissions and best practices for a more potentially work-related search, this will slowly take you over. Here we go. This search is pretty much everything that we have. So that includes reports, ebooks, academic journal articles, magazine articles, newspaper articles. So it's a lot of stuff to sort through, and anything that says full text from Eric, PDF full text, and then PDF full text and full text from Eric. The full text is there right away. Full Text Finder is another tool that checks everything that we have access to in print and online, as well as a number of free resources, and then tells you, and so then if you're seeing the Full Text Finder link, we should have it. It's just, you may have to click again to get to it. So sometimes clicking on Full Text Finder pulls up the whole item itself, and sometimes it takes you to an intermediate page where you click again to get into the item or the information about the item if you're going to find it in our building. I wanted to emphasize ebooks. We have between 700,000 and 800,000 ebooks, which I think is about 7 to 8 times what we have in our library building. So it is a ton of stuff. And it is both academic and research-based resources, as well as some fun reading. They are all readable online. The vast majority are on limited user access, so multiple people can be using them at the same time. There are a few that limit it to 1 user at a time, so on occasion it may not be possible to access a particular ebook until someone's finished with it, but that's pretty uncommon. They are downloadable, but it is not the friendliest process, and it doesn't work with your standard e-readers, so it's more to download and read on your machine. They do allow some printing as well. That varies from book to book, so you might be able to print, in this case, 100 pages. Some will be less, some might be more. It varies there as well. And then in here, you usually have a table of contents, so you can click to relevant information and page through. So ebooks are definitely a good substitution right now while we cannot get you physical items. Jumping back to my result list, the final option to get things is, see if I have any here. Request through Iliad. There it is. So anything that we do not have access to currently will have a request through Iliad link on it. Iliad is up and running and has been during the closure. We just can't get physical items, but anything that's a book chapter, a short report, a journal article, magazine article, newspaper article, you can order those and we will do our best to get them for you. So that is your other option for getting materials that we don't have. All right. We do have a separate ebook search. So if you're only looking for ebooks, that is a nice option. And then there's also our library catalog. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time with this, but I just wanted to mention closed open stacks, not sure, but in general, we'll still offer the ability to place a hold on an item no matter what, and would encourage people to use that even if we do end up with open stacks. So right now it's turned off, so you can't actually see the button. But when it's turned back on, right before we open, next to this add to cart button, I believe it'll be to the left of it, it will say place hold. And so you'll be able to click that, place a hold on the item, you log in with your Chatham username and password, your regular one, and then submit the hold, and we'll pull the item for you and have it waiting for you to pick up. So that will be how you can do that for physical items in our building. Checking out physical items, you as staff get to check them out for 6 months as far as books are concerned. And that includes our children's materials. We have children's books that you can check out as well. And it's 6 months with a 6-month renewal. So you can have these books as long as a year. DVDs and CDs are 2-week checkouts with 1 renewal for another 2 weeks. And then in general, you don't pay any fines on late items or anything, just replacement fees if you lose or damage an item. Our Easy Borrow service, which some of you have probably used in the past, is currently turned off for all libraries. So there aren't any libraries actively using Easy Borrow. And at this time, I do not know when that will be turned back on. It is in discussion, but we are one of the earlier libraries to open. There are not very many libraries opening yet within the Easy Borrow consortia, basically the group that does Easy Borrow. So it could be a while, but for physical items, once we reopen, there will be Iliad. And then lastly, with regards to books, if there's a book that you think we should have in our collection, either in print or digitally, let us know. We can always look into additional purchases. Our budget might be a little limited this year, but we do regularly purchase items that people request. So another question I've been asked a couple times since we've been closed is, do you have the Chronicle of Higher Education? So I wanted to show you quickly how to find out if we have access to a particular journal, magazine, or newspaper. So that's within our search for e-journal titles. And in here, you can search for the Chronicle of Higher Education. And then it will give you a list of where we have it, if we have it. If we do not have access to it, full text any place, you just won't see it in the results list. It's in a lot of different places, but the one you would be most interested in is this Chronicle of Higher Education website link, which gives you access to the site itself. When you're on campus, it just works because it knows you're on campus. When you're off campus, you need to come in this way, or alternatively through our Find Databases link, because we actually list it as a database as well, in order for it to know that you're a Chatham person who has the rights to access the full text articles. So this is the way to find out if we have it, and then of course what years are available. The other one I get asked about a lot is the New York Times. We do have in our Nexus Uni database access to the articles that would be in the print newspaper, but we do not have a site license for that one. It's just prohibitively expensive. And then there are 2 databases I wanted to point out as kind of different from our standard journal article, books, and that kind of resources that you're finding in a lot of other ones. The first one is Statista. This one is all statistical information. And it's charts and graphs. And what they want you to do is take the chart and graph and stick it into your presentation or paper or document or whatever report, whatever you're working on. So as an example, you have this chart here, and then on the right, you have your option for a PDF, the Excel of just the very basic raw data, just the percentages and stuff. It's not like really raw data, full data sets or anything. An image file and the PowerPoint slide. So they make it super easy to just insert this into your, whatever you're working on, with citation information, of course, to say where it's coming from. And a lot of that information is over here in the source and details. You can find more out about where it's coming from. This includes tons and tons of statistical information from the US government, as well as some stuff that would normally be behind a paywall, especially industry and company information, but some others as well. And then the last thing I want to show you before I turn this over to Molly is our academic video online database. And this is pretty new for us. I don't remember exactly when we got it, but it's probably within the spring semester, I think. And this is over 66,000 videos. They are heavily, of course, academic, but there are also classics in here and things that are more popular films that then do have relevance to film studies and academics. Or if you're, stressed out and want a yoga or mindfulness or meditation type video, those are in here as well. So this is a streaming video service that we provide access to where you can just watch the videos online. All right, so I will now turn it over to Molly.
Okay, grab a screen. Oh, you know what? Actually, we didn't test my my screen sharing, and I'm disabled from doing that.
All right, let me see if you have access now.
Oh, here I am.
Okay, sorry, I thought I had preset it up as co-host, but apparently I did not. I'm sorry about that.
No problem. All right, so let me just make sure I have everything. You see my screen? No. Let me try this again. Okay, great. All right, so here we are on the library website. You're all familiar with how to get there, and Kate just gave you a wonderful walk through some of the resources. So I'm going to take us over to the Archives and Special Collections. This button here on that main page will take us right there. Okay, and so here we are on the Archives and Special Collections. This is where we're going to do most of the navigation of the archives. One of the important things I want to mention over here is my contact information. I'm going to go over some of the materials that we have available online and some of the things that we can offer from the archives, but there's a lot more, and you're not required to remember any of it. You can just remember how to find my contact information and just shoot me an email, and I'm happy to help with any requests that you have. So one thing I want to mention about the archives, about the Chatham Archives, is how we're a little different from some of the other archives in the region. So the Heinz History Center is a great resource. They focus on collecting materials related to the whole Western Pennsylvania region. The University of Pittsburgh also has a big archives. They focus on some of that same area, as well as having a big focus on labor history. At the Chatham Archives, we are focusing specifically on Chatham University. So there's materials related to students, alums, faculty, staff, events, campus. Sometimes it's about how Chatham relates to things that are happening in the broader Pittsburgh or regional or global community. But it is very squarely focused on Chatham University. If you have research needs requiring use of some of those other collections, please feel free to reach out to me. I can help you to navigate those as well. From staff, we often do in the archives get questions about getting reproductions. So we do provide reproductions of all of our materials to staff. There is no fee for staff to get reproductions. Sometimes folks will contact me with a specific image in mind. Sometimes folks will contact me with an idea about the kind of image they're looking for. In some cases, I may point you to some of the collections that might have something like that, like what you're looking for, so that you can explore and find something that suits your need. There's a number of different ways we can handle that, but again, there is no fee. Very happy to make these materials available for you for whatever your needs are, be they marketing or posters or flyers or something along those lines. I do also want to point out over here information about donations and transfers. So the Chatham University Archives is really built upon materials donated by alums, by staff, by faculty. So if you have materials in your office or in your collections that you think may be of interest to the archives, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Those materials can take a variety of different forms, like the ones you see laid out here. They could be paper files, they could be artifacts, clothing, they can be digital files as well. We are interested in operational information, so meeting minutes, departmental records, all those sorts of things. So if you have materials that you're not using for your daily, your active work that you're doing, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're very happy to come over and look at some of the materials you have, identify those that would be of interest to the archives, and then arrange for transport. And then, of course, once something comes to the archives, you can still access it. So don't think about that if you transfer some records to the archives that they're gone forever. You can still come and see them. Okay, so we do have a lot of material available online from the archives. All of these links here take us to different online collections, and I'm just going to point out a couple of them for you today. This one here, Chatham College, the First 90 Years. This is the, let me move that up a little bit. This is the first history of Chatham University that was written. It's dated in 1959. Liberta Dysart wrote it. She was a professor of history. So this is a great source for just getting an understanding about the development of Chatham University. It's also searchable, so you can search keywords like tennis right up here, and after a moment or two, the search results will appear below. Now it appears these little blue arrows. If you hover over them, it will give you a preview of the information there. And then if you click on them, it will take you to exactly that page. You can zoom in because that was pretty small text and see that way back in some of the early years, there were the first 2 tennis courts were equipped and maintained from Mr. Lawrence Dilworth, who was one of the founders. You can jump forward and look at information about tennis tournaments that occurred on campus. They were really a very big deal, and we actually have some of these tennis trophies that are mentioned here. So the Liberta Dysart Chatham College First 90 Years book is really a great place to get a broad understanding about the founding of the university, and it's also keyword searchable for names or topics or buildings, that sort of thing. I'm also going to take you to one of our image collections. So there we go. So I'm going to take us to the May Day collection. So this link takes us to Historic Pittsburgh, which is a partnership among a number of archival repositories in the region. It's hosted at the University of Pittsburgh, but it includes materials from Chatham, from the University of Pittsburgh Archive, from the Heinz History Center, Carnegie Library, Carnegie Museum of Art, a number of different institutions. And all these partners have shared some of their photograph collections and some other materials on this site. You can whittle down the date of what's available. This collection has almost 300 images, and if we take it to this small little window here, we'll see just the images from the 1915 version of the May Day pageant. So if you find an image that you think looks interesting, you can click on it here. You can click on this little link here to see a bigger version of it. Again, you can zoom in, you can zoom out. And I love this image in particular because it shows us the scale of these events. The May Day pageants on campus were major events. Thousands of people would come to campus to watch these presentations by the students. They would be wearing costumes that they had made. They'd spend a year working on these costumes. They would perform dances. There would be theater performances. A May Queen was often crowned during these. Looking at and there is a lot of scholarship on sort of the role of May Day pageants on women's colleges, and it's definitely something that's very interesting. But with this photograph, I want to show how you can look at one item in the May Day collection, and you can see a lot more. So when we're looking at the crowd, you can see that there's sort of a line here. And that's because this photograph was taken in 1915. This is before the Mellon estate was given to the college, now university, and there was a fence. So there was a fence dividing the college property and the Mellon property. We can look at the photograph also and see that there was at the time a greenhouse on the Mellon property that's not there anymore. When we look at the photograph, we obviously see this very familiar building, the Lindsay House. At the time, the president lived there. So this is really to show that by looking at the collections as a whole, you might not expect that the May Day collection would have some information about how the campus itself has changed over time, but it really can. And so I'm always very happy to help direct you to some materials that may be of interest. There are other campus publications that are used pretty regularly, including the student newspapers, course catalogs, yearbooks, the alumni recorder. These are great tools to look up individuals, to look up events that happened on campus. If you you're looking to use those, you can certainly contact me. But we do also have these new how-to videos. These are available on demand, and so you can open up one of these videos, and you can rewatch it as many times as you like. These they go through a number of the different formats for which we have online material available. Covers everything from navigating and searching and downloading. So these should be a really great tool for using these collections. Yep. Okay, Kate, so I think I'm going to pass it back to you.
All right. Up the last slide here. So thank you everyone for coming. Hopefully this provided some helpful information to you. I did see one question already about whether we will send out a recording to everybody who participated, and we will do that once we get it posted, likely to our YouTube channel, so we will send that out. Are there any other questions? And feel free to unmute yourself and ask or type it in the chat. Oops. All right. Well, if there are no questions, you can always reach out to either Molly or I with any questions that you have. And again, that COVID-19 library resources page will be a great resource for figuring out our services and hours as they develop. And we hope you all stay safe, and maybe we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.